Okay, hello everyone. I think we should start the meeting. I apologise for being late. It's not that I wasn't here, I just wasn't able to get in the door. So maybe I'll use more initiative next time and try turning the handle. So good morning everyone, welcome to the meeting of the Tayside Valuation Joint Board. Reminding everybody the public part of the meeting, and I think the whole meeting is in public today, will be recorded and placed on Tayside Valuation Board's website for public viewing. So keep your microphones on mute throughout the meeting unless you're actually speaking. And I'll now ask the clerk to take us through the agenda.
Thank you. I'll start by taking the roll call. Councillor Black.
Present.
Bailey Roberts.
I'm sure I saw Bailey
Sorry,
Roberts.
I'm here.
Councillor Short.
I'm here.
Councillor Scullin.
Present.
Councillor Shears.
Morning, I'm here.
Bailey McPherson.
Good morning, present.
Councillor Nicholl.
I'm here.
Councillor Fotheringham.
I'm here, thank you.
I've received apologies from Councillor Shepherd and I believe Councillor Duff is here substituting today.
Yes, present.
Councillor Durno.
I'm here.
Councillor McCall.
Present.
Councillor Welch.
I'm here.
Councillor Anderson. Here. Yes. Councillor Smith.
Good morning, I'm present.
Councillor Cuthbert.
I'm here.
And that completes the roll call today. Taking us on to item 2, declarations of interest. Do any members have any declarations? I don't see any hands, so I'll take that as no. Item 3, minute of previous meeting. The minute of the previous meeting of the 16th of June 2025 is submitted for approval.
Is the minute agreed?
Thank you. That takes us to item 4, Best Value Public Performance Report 2024-2025, and this is for approval.
Sorry, would you like to introduce, Darrell, would you like to introduce the report?
Yes, thank you, Convener. Good morning all. This report outlines our performance across key service areas during the 24-25 year, including valuation rule amendments, council tax entries and customer satisfaction metrics. The information presented on valuation rule and council tax KPIs is consistent with the management commentary presented in the draft annual accounts, which you will have seen at the June board meeting, and this is intended as a shorter and more accessible version for publication on our website, highlighting the main results rather than introducing new data. Our KPI targets for valuation have been amended this year to better reflect the additional workloads associated with non-domestic rating reform, and feedback from our customer questionnaire returns continues to be positive, with almost half of all respondents providing comments, which are also included in the report. Happy to take any questions on the report.
Do we have any questions on this report? Thank you. Bailey McPherson.
Thanks, Chair. I would first of all say that I think the public feedback alluded to on pages 20 and 21 is extremely positive, and I think grateful thanks to the staff for the high quality of service, customer service which is of the highest quality, and I think we greatly appreciate all their efforts in that respect. I have one issue about the area of customer service, and it really comes from a comment from a ratepayer who actually, to be fair, had no complaint at all about the service he got. He didn't quite like the answer he got because his rateable value was correct, and he rather thought it was not. But that's legislation and hardly the fault of the Valuation Joint Board. But his point really was that there's an East Division and a West Division, but nothing is nowadays located in Dundee. And I was really wondering if Darrell could give us some reassurance for those of us in Dundee, where there's a council tax or a rating inquiry, and the ratepayer or council taxpayer wishes to see a member of staff in person, but feels they cannot travel into Angus and would like to see someone in person in Dundee. What sort of arrangements can be made? Are there drop-in arrangements, or could that be considered in the future?
Yeah, happy to take that. I'm aware that this has actually raised its head before. I think perhaps when the interim assessor was at probably this meeting last year. And as a direct result of that, we agreed to start gathering some statistics. I don't have them to hand, but we do review them at management team meetings. And the numbers of people who attend the office for such matters are particularly low. It doesn't seem to be the way that most people do business these days. I think they're more inclined to pick up a phone. But speaking to members of staff in the East Division, I'm aware that if someone does request a visit, we would go out and see them, I think across all areas, but in particular to reflect the issues of not having a presence within the Dundee city area. So that's certainly my understanding of the position, and I can certainly let our management team know that it was raised again, and just make sure that I'm receiving that feedback that is still the case.
I'm very grateful for that response. It pretty much covers what I was looking for, was the assurance that if a council taxpayer or a ratepayer particularly wanted to be visited, that the Valuation Joint Board staff would be prepared to do that. And you've given me that assurance. So for that, I'm grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Take Councillor McCole first, and then we've got another question after that. Councillor McCole.
Thank you. So that's a very relevant question that Councillor McPherson raised, because a large, in fact, maybe not quite, yeah, probably the majority of our residents and businesses are located outside of the urban centres where offices are. So I'm assuming, and can I get assurance that the same facility would be available to people, say, in Highland Perthshire? Thank you.
Darrell?
Yeah, absolutely.
I might be a bit concerned about the fact we're prepared to send people all the way to Kinlochranach on request for a visit. I presume there would be some kind of assessment as to whether or not that visit was required. It wouldn't just be because somebody wanted one.
Well, we're out and about in the area for all of the key work streams, particularly for valuation roll and council tax anyway. Granted, there has been a move to relying on information to allow us to do desktop surveys where possible, but certainly if it's in relation to a council tax or valuation matter, it's likely that routinely we will have staff in the area, and I'd like to think if there was a request that required such an attendance in person, that we would be able to accommodate that. If it was in relation to, for example, a council tax appeal or banding query, it might well be the case that we need to actually come out and inspect the property in any case. So yeah, there's no hard and fast rules on it, but I think if that request was made, I would certainly like to think that we could accommodate that.
Fair enough. I think my comment wasn't very...
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I mean, obviously, I'm an infrequent attender at this committee. I would have to say that the report was good, and the customer responses are, I think, very favourable, and that's very reassuring. I just wanted to raise the question of the staffing numbers, and according to the report, the current complement is 60.5 against an establishment of 70. What's the reason for the variation, and if we're operating satisfactorily with 60, why do we say we need 70 staff? A wee bit of information on that would be helpful.
Yeah, this actually cropped up in the convener meeting a couple of weeks ago. So what I've managed to establish was 70 was the establishment structure, and essentially those posts still effectively remain in payroll, albeit not all in budget. It's really something that probably myself and Paul will look at more closely when we go to set the budget and the establishment for the year ahead around about November time. So it's probably a bit of a false picture, because whilst it says 70, I think only 66 of the posts are budgeted for. So arguably the 4 might not hold much significance at all. So it's certainly something I'll look into with Paul when budget setting comes for this year. But the variation in the figure between the 66 budgeted posts and the 60.5 reflects a number of staff's kind of flexible working arrangements. Some may work part-time or in flexible retirement. So in effect on the books, the full salary of that post would be retained, but in actual fact, it's offered up as what's known as slippage. So again, Paul might be able to offer some further explanation on that, but whilst they're budgeted, they're also kind of they're added on and taken off, is kind of how it works. So hopefully that provides a bit more background on those positions.
Any other questions? Yes. All right. I don't think I can see him. No, I see him. There's Paul. On you go, Paul.
Thank you, Chair. Just to add further to Darrell's point, it's it's custom and practice as part of setting any budget that we would assume a level of slippage in terms of the period of time when posts may be vacant. So certainly happy to review that moving forward and ensure that the level of slippage assumed within the budget is in line with turnover.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? In which case, can this report be approved?
Great.
And on to the next item.
Thank you. So item 5, freedom of information and environmental information, and this is for noting.
Darrell, do you want to say anything about this report?
Yes, you're with me. So this item provides an overview of our activity under the FOI and environmental information regulations, and the report notes that 6 formal requests were received during the reporting period, all of which were responded to within the statutory timescales, and there are no significant issues to be raised. So that's papers presented for noting.
Any questions or comments on this report? Councillor McCall.
It's really just a typo, I think, on the appendix, on the statistical information. The number refused, I think the total should be 2.
Darrell, can you...
Just navigating to that. Yeah, there does look to be something amiss with the figures in columns 4 and 5. I can certainly get that. It's relatively low numbers, so it should be easy to remedy. But I can certainly get that updated before anything goes to the website.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Can I just say, well spotted, Councillor McCall. Thank you for that.
I do like the numbers.
It's as well that somebody can do them. Somebody can count. I think we have a reasonably open policy on freedom of information, which is great news. Is the report noted? Next item.
Thank you. That takes us to item 6, health and safety annual report. This is also for noting.
Again, Darrell, do you want to introduce the report on health and safety?
Yeah, so this annual report summarises our health and safety performance over the past year, including staff training, incident reporting and sickness absence data. 2 minor accidents were recorded, both of which required no further action. And the report goes on to note that a total of 837.5 working days were lost in the reporting year. But as a small organisation, single long-term absences can impact significantly on this figure. And I note that 329 days are attributable to 2 longer-term absences, one of which accumulated in an ill health retirement. But it is evident that sickness absence in terms of instances, days lost and costs are down on the previous year's figures, which are also noted, and I think that's welcomed. Happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions? Not seeing any in the room, and I'm not seeing any on the board. Oh yes, Councillor McCall.
Thank you. I'm looking again at the numbers, and while it's welcome that the numbers have come down, the number of instances in Perth and Kinross in particular have actually gone up, and in fact at headquarters. But I'm just wondering what that number is like in terms of overall percentage of staff ratio, if you have such a thing.
Yeah, so the way that the stats are reported is in keeping with how they've been reported in the past, but arguably it probably harps back to when we had three regional offices. We essentially, as Billy McPherson alluded to earlier, we essentially have an east and a west section. So if you wanted to do any meaningful comparison, whether that was appropriate or not, you would probably have to add up the Angus, Dundee and headquarters areas together. So it is something that we discussed at the convener meeting, and it's probably not the best way that we present these stats. But for consistency, it was agreed to keep it this way for the moment, with me taking it away to have a look at next year to see if they could be better presented. But yeah, there's probably about half and half split between east and west. So when you look at that in isolation, it probably doesn't tell the picture properly. And it's whether we would want to go down that road anyway of comparing in such granular level. It's maybe more of a management team metric and statistic that we would look at more closely.
Yeah, I think overall it is welcome that the numbers are going down. I think my question really was, or observation was, that the numbers aren't going down in Perth and Kinross. And in fact, the number of instances have gone up. And I'm just wondering if there's more, why, I suppose.
Yeah, well, as I suggested in my introduction there, I alluded to the fact that these figures can be skewed quite significantly by a single long-term absence.
Okay.
And the 2 long-term absences that I did allude to, which amounted to 329 days, were both actually within the Perth division. Okay. So felt quite strongly within that. It kind of skews it quite significantly. So hopefully that provides a bit more background.
It does actually. I kind of assumed that was the case, but I wasn't sure. Okay, thank you very much.
Yep, Councillor McCall, I picked up on the same point, and others did at the conveners meeting. It's the way the statistics are presented, as Darrell has said, and I think we might see them done differently next year, because they're kind of misleading us a little bit. They're setting off red herrings. Okay, can this report be approved or noted?
Yep, noted.
Are we agreeing it, approving it, or noting it? I can't remember. There we go. It's whatever it is, it's done. Next item, internal audit.
Thank you. That takes us to internal audit, and this is for approval.
So, questions or comments on the internal audit plan? Really important document.
I'm happy to come in here and introduce this one.
Apologies, Darrell, I should have given you that opportunity.
We also have Steve McNaught here from Henderson Logie, if there's any additional questions that might arise. But essentially this paper presents the audit needs assessment and strategic plan for the period 2025 to 2028, and alongside the annual audit plan for 25-26. Focus areas for the year ahead include recruitment, procurement and risk management. And as I say, Steve's on the call as well. If there's any additional questions, happy to take them.
Any questions or any comments? In which case, can this report be approved? Okay, that's done.
Thank you. Next item is item 8, data protection, and this is for noting.
So, Ian, would you want to introduce the report?
Good morning. I'm happy to introduce this report and take any questions, but it is really just for noting.
Do we have any questions? In that case, is the report noted? Takes us on to item 9. We can be letting you do that. Sorry, on you
Yeah,
go.
no, that's fine. Item 9, revenue monitoring 2025 to 2026, and this is also for noting.
Paul, would you like to talk about this?
Happy to do so, Chair. So this report sets out the board's revenue outturn for the period as at the period 31st of July 2025. It indicates there's a projected deficit of £172,000 for the year, which is £33,000 greater than expected. There are a number of overspends, mainly in relation to supplies and services. The report also outlines that the projected balance for the board would be £119,000 at the end of the year, of which £62,000 remains uncommitted. I'll continue to work with the assessor and their finance team to continue to review the outturn as the remainder of the year goes on, with an aim to ensure that the outturn is in line with the forecast budget, but happy to take any questions meantime.
So, questions and comments on this report? I mean, if we're running a deficit and it's not what we expected, then I don't know why there aren't any questions or comments. Brenda, Councillor Darno.
Thanks, Chair. It was just to say, was the national insurance increases included in this report, or will that be in the next report for the wages?
So thanks, Councillor Dunn, for the question. I would have to check exactly. My understanding would be that the budget was agreed prior to that announcement, albeit the outturn will reflect those contributions because we are certainly paying them now. So it shouldn't make any difference in that regard just now. What the report doesn't include, however, is the pay award for that, or the actual payment of the pay award, which will happen in coming months following the agreement of that.
Yeah, that's what I thought, Paul. So it's actually going to be even more of a deficit then, once that's been assessed.
No, so I beg your pardon, Councillor Dunn. So whilst the national insurance wasn't necessarily reflected within the budget that we set, it will of course be reflected within the actuals that we're projecting. And whilst the pay award hasn't been processed and is in essentially the officers' salaries, we will be making an assumption with that within the projections.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Fraser.
Thanks, Chair. My question is really around the effect, should this projection prove to be correct by the 31st of March 2026. That would have, or in fact more than half, what's left in the general reserve. And obviously you want to maintain a reasonable level of general reserve. And I suppose my question is, if that were replicated in the 26-27 financial year, we'd have no general reserve. And I suppose my question, probably for Paul, is what steps can be done to mitigate against that sort of situation arising? And is there a statutory requirement to have a general reserve of a certain level in the case of a valuation joint board?
Thanks for the question, Bailey McPherson. So I'll take the last point first. It's a matter for the board to consider in terms of what would be the appropriate uncommitted reserve to hold. In terms of actions, my finance team and Darrell's senior team meet regularly throughout the year to review all areas in relation to monitoring the budget, and those discussions are held with an objective of preparing this information for members to see, but also with a mind to identify any remedial steps that may require to be taken to ensure that the budget comes in online. So this is the first monitoring that we've done of the year to the end of July. Whilst I concur with the members' views, we don't want to have any additional deficit over and above what we've expected, and we did project to have a deficit at the start of the year, notwithstanding that the variance, if you like, equates to less than 1% of the overall board. So it is a small variance, it is a projection, and we'll continue to work closely with Darrell and his team to update those figures and bring back regular updates to meetings throughout the course of the year.
Okay, I'm grateful for the response.
Councillor McCall.
Thank you. I want to actually... Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
There's an echo in there.
I can hear you, yep.
Okay. I think I'd like a bit more detail about the rise in costs and supplies and services and what's driving those. And if that's been driven by one-off, or whether it's something that's likely to continue to increase. And I also want to pick up on Councillor Durno's point. I mean, I'd be quite alarmed if the national insurance costs and the increase wasn't reflected in the figures to July. So can we get some clarity on that, please?
Thank you, Councillor Cole. So I'll take the second point first. So I will clarify this. What I was saying was I don't think the announcement to increase national insurance contributions had been made prior to the budget being set. So I'll just have to check that. Notwithstanding that, we are continuing each month to pay those higher rates, so that for absolute clarity, that is included within the projection. So there shouldn't be any further impact on that mind. Happy to go back and provide further information in relation to supplies and services and come back to all members separately, Councillor McCall, including whether or not these are one-offs. Can I add, I was myself on annual leave at the conveners meeting, and I picked up on the very same point in relation to some of the variances. Can I say that in relation to the central support recharge of £23,000, the budget for last year hadn't been increased, and what we're projecting is a cost of £65,000, which is in line with previous years. So it was actually the budget that requires to be reviewed. So I'll pick up that separately with Darrell in terms of 26-27, but certainly happy to provide any further information in relation to the others if that would be helpful.
Thank you. And I suppose the other point is just, again, following on from Councillor McPherson's point about the reserves. It would be useful to know, and perhaps it's for another meeting, maybe if you don't have the information to hand, but what how this is impacting the reserves policy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor McCall. Happy to do so. My understanding is that the minimum recommended level that the board would look to hold is £60,000. But we could certainly happy to review that and reflect that in future budget setting reports.
Yeah, I think it would be helpful, because as costs are going up, the £60,000 as a percentage may be getting lower. And I don't have a sense right now, or I can't recall right now what the percentage equivalent is. So I think that would be helpful for all board members to see. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yes, you can imagine that with unexpected things, government legislative changes, or even just someone calling an election, then the board might come under pressure. So if we didn't have enough reserves, what would happen? Where would we get the money to continue? Would we have a whip around the three councils?
Thank you, Chair. So certainly that would be one of the options, but the first option would be to work with Darrell and the team to contain any emerging cost pressures within the budget that's been set. But if we were unable to do that, unable to meet that from the reserves, then potentially that would be an option to discuss with the three partner authorities.
Thank you. Any more questions or comments on this report? I don't see any. So Is the report noted? Thank you.
Thank you. That takes us on to the final item, the date of the next meeting. The next meeting will be held in the Council Chamber, the Town and County Hall across Forfar, and also remotely on Monday, the 17th of November at 9 a.m.
So, are we agreed to that date and venue? And thank you everyone for coming to the meeting. Apologies for my own late appearance. I was a bit discombobulated by not being able to get in the door. But I guess I was at the wrong door. So that's my fault. So thanks everyone. Meeting's closed.
Thank you, convener.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.